the battles I've fought, but always it overcame me and drove me ravening after some new victim. But after the moon had passed its fullness, the thing's power over me ceased suddenly, nor did it return until 3 nights before the moon was full again. Since then I have roamed the world, fleeing, seeking to escape. Always the thing follows, taking possession of my body when the moon is full. Gods, the frightful deeds I have done. I would have slain myself long ago, but I dare not, for the soul of a suicide is accursed, and my soul would be forever hunted through the flames of hell. And hearken, most frightful of all, my slain body would forever roam the earth, moved and inhabited by the soul of the werewolf. Can any thought be more ghastly? And I seem immune to the wonders and weapons of man. Swords have pierced me, daggers have hacked me, I am covered with scars. Yet never have they struck me down. They bound and led me to the block. There would I have willingly placed my head, but the thing came upon me, and breaking my bonds I slew and fled. Up and down the world I have wandered, leaving horror and slaughter in my trail. Chains, cells cannot hold me. The thing is fastened to me through all eternity.
I'm Merrick, warrior of Lachish. A wolf bit me. It had fire and death in its eyes. It's a truth. Now I dream the witch dreams every night. When I sleep, I fly like a hawk. I can see Cimmeria, grey, misty, land of darkness in the night. There are great werewolves to the south of where I sleep. They call to me. They were men once, all of them. And then they... silver in their veins, cursed in my dreams. Tell me, is this a true dream? Are the werewolves really calling me? I beg you, banish these phantoms and nightmares from me. I am not myself. These words are not for this tongue anymore. I want to howl. Am I mad? Or do I truly fly when I dream? Gods, let me be mad. Let me be dying. Let these be the fever dreams of one who is fading.
In the Conan universe, becoming a lycanthrope is a horrific process. Meanwhile, other creatures such as Werehyenas and Werepanthers have their own unique curses, rather than simply being reskins of the werewolf. All 3 animal totems we will go over today carry a different savage series of curses and blessings. Before this video begins, a special thanks to friend of the channel and mod author Lieutenant Scaro for sponsoring this video. While he doesn't ask for an ad, if you're a fan of the Picts and Conan, you should check out his Exiles mod, Wolves Beyond the Border, coming soon. Our interview with him is linked below. Now, come with me under the full moon as we face the cruel beasts of the Shadow Country. As we begin. If you'd like to see future videos a week early, along with other unique content, go to the subscribe star link in the description box, select any tier to contribute, and sign up as a member of the Grimdark Army. My thanks to the current men and women in service, whose names are seen here. Grimdark. Half off! Jebel Sog, like many demon gods, was traumatized by the time of Old Night, when humanity was first given domain over the earth at the behest of several divine gods, casting the first demons into the part of the outer dark best associated with hell. In his ruthless desire to restore the order before the rise of man, he possessed more mercy than most, seeking to incorporate man into his self-perceived primal paradise. Coupling with everything from the earth itself to beasts and man, he would eventually create his most dreaded invention, that of the Wolfman. We know through the character NPC, who is a demigod hyena man in Conan Exiles, that there was likely a race of wolfmen similar to the race of hyena men which predated the eventual rise of the Werehyena. However, civilized wolfmen are far more rare, as they are seemingly created with the purpose of conversion or death, a kamikaze sort of conversion agent here, on the part of Jebel-Sog. The Brother of the Moon, MPC's sibling, being a clear example of this. In Conan issue 158 from 1984, we are given a clear example of a man making a deal with Jebel-Sog to save his family's life, but in return, his firstborn was a werewolf. The tragic tale ending in the man slaying his own daughter with a silver crossbow. Crossbows being legendary weapons, for those familiar with Conan Exiles. As a brief note on the weakness to silver, at the end of the day, it does seem like all were creatures have the weakness to silver, and it is heavily implied throughout various writings, not just in the Funcom games, but also in the comics and in some parts of Wolf's Head as well, which is an insight into how Robert E. Howard himself would do werewolves, and also Wolf's Head, even though it is in the future, it is still part of the Robert E. Howard verse, so it is canon in Conan. It seems as though silver is a part of their blood, that some aspect of their blood, due to the curse, does become connected to silver in such a way that silver does harm them. It is, I suppose, a matter of magnetism or a source of power or a material alchemical thing that can match their supernatural strength. And that's the way silver seems to affect werewolves in Conan, because usually the way it is in writing is that silver is a pure metal, and since the werewolf is an amalgamation of two things put in one, it harms the werewolf because it is ultimately able to separate the two. But in this case, it is because silver seems to vibrate at the same frequency as the demonic power of a werewolf, and beat at the same frequency as a demonic werewolf's heartbeat. From here, we can derive three ways that Jebel-Sog spreads the curse of werewolves. The first is by deal-making, which makes the offspring of the person or themselves into a herald, which is what half-demons are called in Conan. The second is by a wolfman mating with a human, and the third is by a werewolf biting, thus mixing its saliva into a surviving victim of its attacks. The survival of the victim proving to Jebel-Sog that they have potential as a good sleeper agent, thus sort of kamikaze conversion or die agent that we just went over. Werewolves serve that role in Jebel-Sog's perceived army. We also talk a lot more about this in part 1, but it's something like Hanuman's ape men provide kind of a sword or a mace, and like Jill's harpies provide this or that, and it's sort of just this amalgam of an animal kingdom army against the civilized world. Sagian werewolves take the form of something similar to a wolfman of the 1966 film. Hairy with wolf-like instincts along with claws, while their face may be beast-like, they could easily be mistaken for a large ape from a distance or maybe a Sasquatch. Their key physiological trait, which separates them from the second type of werewolf we will talk about, is their human-shaped head with only slightly extended muzzle along with their godlike speed. These beings are faster than all other werebeasts, and, as possibly intended by the Lord of Twisted Forms, being a gross parody of civilized man. They are also the most savage, having no control over their actions. This transformation is physiological, causing the ripping and tearing of cells, regenerating at an impossible rate, resulting in the super-fast healing process werewolves are known for in many other media. Sagian werewolf transformations are incredibly painful, but seem to make up for it by flooding the body with serotonin, causing a drug-induced state of religious ecstasy before the adrenaline of the beast sets in once fully transformed. Despite committing horrible acts of violence as a truly monstrous berserker, this makes the transformations of Sagian wolfmen something highly addictive. Due to this drug-induced state, most are unaware of their actions during this time. The more it happens, the more they crave that state. This is also a very physical process, meaning the ripping of clothes is very common. Werewolves will transform if their lives are threatened, meaning near-death life experience, or by force under the light of the full moon 3 nights in a row. Very similar in almost all ways to the Sagian werewolf, Wolf's Head by Robert E. Howard in 1926 gives us another type of werewolf, also canon to the Conan universe, that would sadly only become more common after the death of King Conan, but would still be around here as well. This is important for homebrewers, as those of you who want a were insert creature here can use this method for a lore-friendly representation of it in your game. To begin, wolf's head werewolves are identifiable by the fact that they possess the head of a wolf rather than that of a hairy man with an extended muzzle. They are also much stronger than they are fast. Despite this, they still have the savagery and the transformation conditions of the Sagian werewolf. However, they also get no dulling of pain when transforming, and retain fully the horrible memories of those they slaughter under the full moon. Being a wolf's head werewolf is a true curse, from the pain of the transformation to harming those you love. These werewolves came about from demons fearful of being captured and bent to the will of different demonologists. Out of fear, they sought to possess beasts, but were too afraid to command the beast's body, so ended up fusing with them instead, effectively accidentally recreating the same creature as the Sagian werewolves, with alterations such as the weakness to silver coming from the fact that these are fused abominations rather than the creation of a new creature. So while Sagian werewolves are, silver harms them, while Sagian werewolves are harmed by silver because silver runs in their blood, it vibrates at the same frequency, these have that more traditional weakness we were talking about to it earlier. It does function the same way, though if you wanted to play it differently, you could say maybe one has a more radiating effect and the other is a very clear magical, you stabbed it with the silver sword, Elder Scrolls style, so it dies. Unlike the turning process of the Sagian werewolves, which is very diverse, the wolf's head werewolf will take on the form of a demonic spirit that upon the death of the current werewolf will either possess the nearest predatory beast, thus altering the nature of the curse, or the human who killed it, thus continuing the curse in its current form. The end of the Wolf's Head book hints at the idea that after the death of the werewolf in that story, the demonic spirit escaped by going into a river, foreshadowing the return of it as a were-crocodile, referring to hiding in a beast of the Nile. Once again, these types of lycanthropes change during a full moon or when their lives are threatened. This process can be applied to any beast possessed by a savage demonic spirit fueled by fear, so bears, boars, and lions are all fair game for the Elder Scrolls fans out there. Like in the story, they would have the head of a beast, increased physical strength, and be horribly cursed with the condition, often trying to end their own lives to no avail. While the demon possesses the beast itself, it is very noticeable. Whenever it grows enraged, it will take on the form of a human-armed beast twice the size of its usual form. This type of creature, called a wolf beast or an insert animal here beast, attacked Conan and a band of mercenaries in issue 224 of 1989. Conan was the only survivor. It can only be assumed that the conditions of near-death life experience and full moon are applicable to take this form as well. If you want your werewolves to be more bestial with only the barest amount of human qualities, then wolf beasts, which again, much like the wolf's head werewolves, can be any type of beast you are looking for. As implied by our opening quote, should a cursed werewolf succeed in a suicide attempt, even with silver weaponry, they will only succeed in killing their mortal half, becoming an undead zombie nightmare berserk abomination of rancid fur and rotting fang, forever staying in their werewolf form as they become more nightmarishly decrepit in appearance over time. This can only be done through the suicide of a cursed man. The process of impification is when a human being suffering from starvation's body tries to make up for the missing nutrients with demonic energy in a contaminated area. The Isle of Sipta is home to many such locations, in addition to a weather system called the Maelstrom, directly connected to the dreamlands of Kuth the Star Girdle, making mutation of many kinds an all too common sight, quite literally on the level, similar to the dreamlands, of reality warping. The key signs of impification is three-fingered hands, three-toed feet, and a relative bestial appearance. The devolved werewolves of the island off the coast of Stygia are no different. Being an alternate path to get to your wolf beast if you so desire, these three-fourths demon werewolves are in a permanent transformed state, making them always hungry for war. It is important to note that due to their armor, we can assume that these were originally purebred wolfmen. of rare considerable intellect, which of course is likely due to the Maelstrom weather system directly connected to the Dreamland. So upon landing on the island, these creatures, or forming on the island, these creatures were likely gifted with a higher intellect because of the ability to not be forced in any way to stay bound to the usual laws of their species within reason. We see this similarly with the Blood Moon Beast, which went the other way, and we do talk about that, but it's effectively a moon beast that had to dumb down an intellect because it effectively became what it would be if it worked by natural laws the longer it stayed on Earth. But then with these devolved wolfmen, they are capable of a higher form of intellect here, and we can see demonstrations of a higher form of intellect through weapon crafting and armor crafting because they are living in a place so close to a reality warping weather system. If you don't want to experience the horrible effects of impification at your tabletop, then you'll need this video's second sponsor, Ronin Kraft. Ronin Kraft is an independent 3D model printing service that allows you to break the curse of overpriced minis. With an excellent customer service score on Etsy, you can be sure that you'll get quality that surpasses any master. The Hyena Men are a race of beastmen, born from the demon god of fear and son of Jebel Sog, Germanica. Far more intelligent and trickster-like than their wolf cousins, they are full-on shapeshifters who make deals with humans for magical knowledge in exchange for horrific hedonistic acts or knowledge of equal value. In some cases, a hyena man may require sex from a woman who is a prospective sorcerer. The result of this coupling will be a werehyena. Werehyenas themselves then mate into populations, creating more of their kind, as well as recessive carriers of the gene, which can manifest in later bloodlines. Much like their parent race, the werehyena is dramatically more human in terms of mental faculties and control over their form. Their full form resembles a hyena version of the wolf beasts we talked about before, but they can also transform into a full hyena or full human at will. A werehyena's actions depends on the person itself, as outlined in the 1926 story by Robert E. Howard, simply titled Hyena. The entire story is effectively dedicated to outlining how werehyenas work in the wider Howard verse. The werehyena Senecosa is clearly stated several times to be different from most werehyena, who do not actively hunt humans after the time of Conan, and is solely motivated by his own desires to kill off the main protagonist of the story due to his desire to mate with the love interest. Likewise, the Hyena Man character Impisi in Conan Exiles is a laid-back figure, more comfortable pontificating upon how to live a good life as what he himself views as an abomination, rather than attack the player character. Finally, we come to the highly reclusive Werepanthers, also known as the children of the cat god Bast. Being the god in question's royal offspring, they founded a hidden city deep in the southern Hyborian jungles, centered around an artifact called the Eye of Bast. Now, in accordance with what actually happens in the 1989 run of the comics, the Eye of Bast isn't required for them to be able to transform. They are a race of demigods, after all, but it is the training wheels that allow them to retain a human form. This is because the children of the cat god are fully panther when born, but change into a pointy-eared, fanged human form when near the artifact, which has the range of an entire city in effect. From the character Prince Artistus of the previously mentioned city of Bestat, we know that even after being separated for a long time, while the panther form is more comfortable for them to take, after living as humans in the city throughout their childhood and early adulthood, they are able to take on the human form at will, as well as fully retain human speech in their panther form. Currently, the ancient city of Bestat is in ruins, and the children roam the earth in various forms, seeking out the artifact wherever it may be. Last seen in the possession of Conan, who is best hypothesized to have given it to Prince Artistus after helping him defeat his sister and becoming a close ally. The legacy of the Werepanthers is likely a nomadic one, in current times making them interesting quest givers or NPCs in any tabletop campaign. So they could be looking for the Eye of Bestat, and of course a talking panther is always a very fun psychedelic thing to see, especially if the rest of your tabletop campaign has been very low fantasy. If you're interested in vampires in the setting, be sure to check out our All Vampires in Conan video, and for more beast folks, we have All Ape Men in Conan, as well as part 2 of our All God series, where we go over the different gods of the beast men of the Hyborian Age. You might have heard me mention a part 1 of this video. In reality, there is no part 1 of this video. That is me referring to part 1 of our All Gods in Conan series, where we go over Jebel Sog himself, as well as all the gods mentioned in the Funcom games. Thank you all for watching, and have a lovely night. Don't let the werewolves bite.